Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, glories to Srila Prabhupada, and all glories to the members of the Prabhupada Disciples Association that are protecting in its mission the legacy of Srila Prabhupada in his books. These books are law books for mankind, and they were written as part of Prabhupada's plan to spread the mission of Lord Chaitanya throughout the world. Because Lord Chaitanya was unknown to the Western-speaking countries. Actually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur had graced Canada in 1896 by sending a brief summary of the life of Lord Chaitanya to McGill University. So there was some effort to reach the rest of humanity. But Prabhupada, our Prabhupada, was the first successful person to achieve this goal. And it is interesting to note that he came from India with a couple of trunks of books, Srimad Bhagavatams, that he had translated and provided purports for the insight of other people who are lost in this material world due to bewilderment. Everyone is bewildered in this world. They think that they are real by the concoction of the mind, the ego, and their so-called misdirected purpose. So people think I'm here to enjoy, to be Krishna, to survey the material world and use it in a way that will satisfy my senses. This is a mistake. We're not the body, but we are the eternal servants of Krishna. And Prabhupada created an opportunity for us to serve Krishna through his preaching of Krishna consciousness to the conditioned souls. It's an opportunity. It's very difficult. Prabhupada, I was listening to a lecture this morning, and Prabhupada said, one would be very fortunate to become a servant of Krishna. Someone thinks, well, we're demanding that everyone become a servant. Well, not everyone is qualified to take up the service. You have to have certain motivations which are based on seriousness. Prabhupada said, taking a guru is not a fashion. It's not something you do so that people will look at you and think you're popular. Oh, I've got myself a new guru. No, guru means you take up the service of the spiritual master because Prabhupada told us you have to be very serious about spiritual life, very inquisitive, and study this philosophy that he's provided for us meticulously. Unfortunately, some people, they whimsically look at this process and think, oh, it's just another so-called method for spiritual understanding. This is not some sort of method. This is the highest level of spiritual opportunity that anyone can get. The highest level, not the lowest level. And because we understand through Prabhupada's grace, the position of Lord Chaitanya and this disciplic succession in the deliverance of the conditioned souls, we're taking up this service with full enthusiasm and determination. Yes, the legacy. And this, we want to thank everyone for participating. Those who have participated so far in our GoFundMe program to reprint the Srimad Bhagavatams, the Delhi versions that Prabhupada personally took on the Jaladuta boat across the ocean to America as a vehicle for transmitting or presenting Krishna consciousness to the American people. This is not a small thing. And if you think about it, Prabhus, our opportunity to reprint these books is also a blessing from Krishna. And if we step up, Lakshmi, for example, is a very valuable item for most people. But at the time of death, how much is your money worth? How much benefit do you get from your money when you die? Nothing. You get nothing from it. It's an empty bank account. You go bankrupt when you die. So Lakshmi is the servant of Krishna. And when we individually take the opportunity to engage her in Krishna's service, we get the greatest benefit possible in this human form of life. And this service that we're doing as a group to reprint the original Delhi Bhagavatams there is no greater service in this world than this. Prabhupada told us that he had put all of the information that was necessary to enlighten the conditioned soul in this first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is 1,196 pages. If you look at the books, there's 3 volumes, but they're put numerically. They go from one book, page 1, and they go progressively through each volume. They don't stop at 350 or 375 pages. It goes 1 to 1,196 pages. And people will say, oh, that's an imperfection. No, it's not. That's your imperfection. This is a great opportunity for us to preserve Prabhupada's legacy in the reprinting, not only the reprinting, by the way, but also the distribution of these books to sincere people that want to learn the truth about the purpose of human life, not some kind of dog society that we live in. Every day I go out on the street, I chant my japa. What do I see? Dogs walking up and down the street and the masters following them to stoop and scoop. Yes, this is human society, and this is a big mistake. And we are here with this golden opportunity to engage Lakshmi. All of us have had hundreds of thousands of dollars, some of us millions, and it's been squandered. Here is a golden opportunity for everyone to take their Lakshmi and give it to this GoFundMe program. And in this way, we'll produce these books, not only these books, but other books in our planned mission to reprint Nectar of Devotion, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, the Krishna books. We have plans to do this, and we will unfold them together as a group. Remember, this name, the name of our group is the Prabhupada Disciples Association. Association means to work together. It doesn't mean just talk. It means action. And action always speaks louder than words. So please, we humbly request our membership, which is a good membership. And by the way, on our Prabhupada Disciples Association Facebook page, we're reaching 18,000 members. Now, unfortunately, we've only had about 53 people donate to the GoFundMe program. Many are called, few are chosen, as Jesus would say. But there's still opportunity to step up, not step down, step forward and donate whatever you can to this very important mission to reprint and distribute Prabhupada's original Delhi Bhagavatams for the benefit of humanity moving forward into the future. Yes. And we'll go now to the Prabhupada diaries, and we've been reading them. They're quite interesting, and I know many of you don't have these books, so we introduce them as an opportunity. We may do something with them in the future as well. If we're looking at these diaries, they were produced by the BBT, so-called, and there's a lot of confusion about that, of course, but we may be able to help make this presentation more revealing to the reader in due course. So here we are, we're at September 29th, 30th, October 1st, and October 3rd. And we're going to see here on these pages that Prabhupada is using the diary here as a ledger for keeping track of Lakshmi. Do we have? Oh, I sent them to Vinkat, but it appears that he's not here. So, and I see that Rupesh has given us a notice. I think it's a little late for that now. So unfortunately, I'll just mention that in these months, in September and October of 1966 up till October 12th, Prabhupada used the diaries as a ledger, income and expense statement, to show how money came in and how money went out in the service of Krishna. And Prabhupada did not maintain a personal bank account. He was engaging all of his Lakshmi in the mission of Lord Chaitanya. So very interesting. And so tomorrow I'll send this off to whoever, I'm not sure, but, and hopefully we can get the article in the New York Times that we were going to read, where the Swami's flock chants in the park to find ecstasy back in 1966 in the New York Times, Monday, October 16th. Let's see. October 10th, 1968. So all glories to the Sankirtan movement, all glories to the members of the association. Rupesh Prabhu, do you have a video that you can put up for the Jaya Radha Madhava prayers? Is there a video, or should we move straight to the class? Thank you.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद से अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गो गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, नवद्वीप धाम की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय, गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskritya Narayanam namaskritya Naram cheva narottamam Naram cheva narottamam Devim saraswatim vyasam Devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead, Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam 1-4. Welcome, everyone, to this reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. As we do every week, we will be reading some selected verses which have been introduced by Srila Prabhupada himself in 1966, when he started to have his Bhagavad Gita classes in New York in February of 1966. We invite you to join with us. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Svapadantikam When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada was established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya? Give me shelter under his lotus feet. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaguna Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalitam Shri Vishakanvitamscha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and unto the feet of all Vaishnavas. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, along with his elder brother Sanatan Goswami, as well as Raghunath Das and Raghunath Bhatta, Gopala Bhatta, and Srila Jiva Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, along with Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar, Srivas, and other associates. I offer my respectful obeisances to Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, along with their associates Sri Lalita and Vishaka. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Oh, my dear Krishna, you are the friend of the distressed and the source of creation. You are the master of the gopis and the lover of Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. I offer my respects to Radharani, whose bodily complexion of life, is like molten gold, and who is the queen of Vrindavana. You are the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, and you are very dear to Lord Krishna. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Last week, we were discussing the Gita Dhyanam, reading some verses. This is actually the original translation of the Gita Dhyanam from a lecture by Srila Prabhupada. Let me see. I know it's in New York. This, I believe, was in New York in February of 1966. Very special. Text number 3. Mala nirmochanam pumsam jalasnanam dine dine sakrit gitamrita snanam samsara malanashanam. Gita Mahatya, text number 3. One cleanses oneself daily by taking bath in the water, but one who takes one's bath in the sacred Ganges water of Bhagavad Gita, his dirty material life is altogether vanquished. Text number 4. Gita Sugita Kartavya Kimanye Shastravishtare Yasvayam Padmanabhasya Mukha Padmadvinishrita. Because Bhagavad Gita is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, therefore, people may not read any other Vedic literatures. Simply, if he attentively and regularly reads and hears Bhagavad Gita, Gita Sugita Kartavya, and one should adopt this means by all means. Gita Sugita Kartavya Kimanye Shastravishtare. Because at the present age, people are embarrassed with so many things that it is hardly possible to divert his attention in all the Vedic literatures. This one literature will do, because it is the essence of all Vedic literatures, and especially spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Again, we welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on the most auspicious Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And before we start our reading, I just wanted to make a few announcements. For one thing, I want to thank personally from the core of my heart all the devotees who have donated to this noble and very important cause of reprinting the original 1962 Bhagavad Gita and other small titles. And also to everyone who attends and occasionally been attending all the readings and discussion. You are very, very welcome, all of you. Now, yesterday was a very important day. It was a day called Akshaya Tritiya and also Chandan Yatra. Akshaya Tritiya is a very special day, and I'm going to read a few of the very special events on this day. It was the birthday of Lord Parashurama, one of the avatars of Lord Vishnu. It was the starting day of the Treta Yuga after Satya Yuga. Thus, it is considered as what is called Ugadi Titi for Treta Yuga. It is the day when Sudama Vipra offered aval to Lord Krishna, special chip rice, and got a bounty of wealth to the grace of Sri Krishna. The same day, the Pandavas received Akshaya Patra, inexhaustible bowl, from Lord Krishna, and thus were able to get unlimited food during their exile. This day has the credit also when Vedavyas started the great Mahabharata, with Lord Ganesh writing it. This is also the day that the Ganges River came down upon heaven. So this is it was a very special day, and it continues also today with this very special reading of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Now, tomorrow will be another very special day. It is the appearance day of Sripad Ramanujacharya, which everybody knows was one of the very great, powerful Vaishnavacharyas of the first major disciplic succession in the age of Kali Yuga. We will be discussing a little bit more of this tomorrow. Now, let us proceed with our reading. Today, we will be reading from chapter 11, and I believe we have text number 8, 9, and 10. Text number 9, very nice. Sanjaya, all synonyms, translations, and purports by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Sanjaya Vacha Eva Muktva Tato Rajan Mahayogeshvaro Harihi Darshayamasa Partaya Darshayamasa Partaya Paramam Rupameshwaram Paramam Rupameshwaram. Sanjaya Uvacha. Sanjaya said, Evam, thus, Uktva, saying, Tataha, thereafter, Rajan, O king, Mahayogeshvaraha, the most powerful mystic, Arihi, the supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna, Darshayamasa, showed, Partaya, unto Arjuna, Paramam, divine, Rupam, universal form, Eshvaram, opulences. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Sanjaya said, O king, speaking thus the supreme, the Lord of all mystic power, the personality of Godhead displayed his universal form to Arjuna. Text number 10 and 11. Aneka Vaktranayanam, Aneka Vaktranayanam, Anekad Bhuta Darshanam, Anekad Bhuta Darshanam, Anekad Divya Bharanam, Aneka Divya Bharanam, Divyaneko Dyatayudham, Divyaneko Dyatayudham, Divya Malyam Bharadharam, Divya Malya Bharandaram, Divya Gandha Nulepanam, Divya Gandha Nulepanam, Sarvashcharya Mayam Devam, Sarvashcharya Mayam Devam, Anantam Vishvatumukam, Anantam Vishvatumukam, Aneka, various, Vaktra, mouths, Nayanam, eyes, Aneka, various, Adbhuta, wonderful, Darshanam, sight, Aneka, many, Divya, divine, Abharanam, ornaments, Divya, divine, Aneka, various, Udyata, uplifted, Ayudham, weapons, Divya, divine, Malya, garlands, Ambaradaram, covered with the dresses, Divya, divine, Gandha, fragrance, Anulepanam, smeared, Sarava, all, Ascharyamayam, wonderful, Devam, shining, Anantam, unlimited, Vishvataha Mukam, all-pervading. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Arjuna saw in that universal form unlimited mouths and unlimited eyes. It was all wondrous. The form was decorated with divine dazzling ornaments and arrayed in many garbs. He was garlanded gloriously, and there were many scents smeared over his body. All was magnificent, all expending unlimited. This was seen by Arjuna. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. These two verses indicate that there's no limit to the hands, mouths, legs, etc. of the Lord. These manifestations are distributed throughout the universe and are unlimited. By the grace of the Lord, Arjuna could see them while sitting in one place. That is due to the inconceivable potency of Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhakti Vedanta Namine Prasannaya Prasantaya Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Bhagavad Vandanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatihi Visheshataham Adadhanastrinam Danter Idam Yachi Punaha Punaha Srimadrupa Padam Bhoja Dhulishyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavato Smyaham Sadadaso Asmi Sarvata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishta Shatakaro Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Brindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is often misinterpreted by impersonalists and persons with a poor fund of knowledge. In order to understand the exact nature of that form, one has to hear from the bona fide authorized acharya. This is described in the Chandogya Upanishad, Acharyavan Purusho Veda, that one should hear submissively from the acharya. We see the same principle explained in the Bhagavad Gita as well, where Krishna explained Acharya Upasanam Shaucham, while describing qualities in the mode of goodness, that one should worship and accept the acharya. By acharya will mean bona fide Vaishnavacharya. Now the question comes up, just like this week I had a discussion with some well-wishing friends, and they were asking me, why is it that sometimes we see that many Vaishnavas, or persons purporting to be Vaishnavas, or having the dress of Vaishnava and the attire of Vaishnavas, sometimes will behave in various ways which are not in line with the proper behavior of Vaishnavas. I said, well, there may be various reasons. It may depend on the motivation of such persons, why they are doing what they're doing. Anybody who knows the situation in India and knows the history of India will know that there are many spiritual persons or persons who will come and pose themselves as being spiritual advisors or spiritual counselors, or commonly known in Sanskrit as gurus, spiritual teachers. But many of these persons, despite various dresses, many of them in the dress of Vaishnavas, many of these persons may have different motivations. And I know we've discussed this before. There's a very interesting discussion in the Padma Purana. Prabhupada mentioned that a few times. It is cited by Sanatana Goswami and Gopala Bhatta Goswami in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. And this pertains to what we're discussing about various persons presenting themselves as spiritual teachers, presenting themselves as authorities, and basically articulating themselves like they are gurus. So this is a conversation between Lord Shiva and his wife Parvati, where Lord Shiva explains, Guravo Bahavo Shanti Shishya Vitta Paharakaha. There are many gurus who are very expert. Shishya Vitta, that means the wealth, the money of the disciple. Harakaha, to take away. But Lord Shiva continues, Durlabha Sadgurur Devi, my dear Devi, it is very rare to find a bona fide Vaishnava guru, Shishya Shanta Paharakaha, who can take away the misery of the disciple, the pain of the disciple of the anxiety of the follower. That is very rare. And this is what we have all experienced in the personality of Srila Prabhupada and his wonderful teachings, his wonderful books, his wonderful lectures, his wonderful explanations of spiritual life and Vaishnavism in presenting the Krishna consciousness movement. Now, there is a different school of thought. Some people say, well, you cannot approach Srila Prabhupada. You cannot write a letter to Srila Prabhupada and get a reply. And such persons with a poor fund of knowledge will even go to say that Prabhupada is not available, that it is a deviation to accept Prabhupada as a guru. Oh, really? That you cannot take initiation from a departed, non-physically present guru. This is the arguments with persons with a poor fund of knowledge and persons with very little understanding of Srila Prabhupada's teachings. First of all, how did His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, define initiation? He's spoken many times that initiation is the beginning. Just like if you try to go to Harvard or Yale, you cannot just go there and start sitting in the class. It doesn't work that way. Any university has an admission process. You have to submit an application. Or just like, for example, if you tried to say, I want to work for the police department. I'm pretty buff and fit. I'll go put on the uniform and start working. Oh, really? It doesn't work that way. Or somebody will say, I'm pretty smart. I'll be a detective. I'll solve the crime. It also doesn't work that way. You can work on your own. But to be recognized, you have to be trained. You have to get the proper education. You have to give the proper training under supervision. You have to be admitted to the police department or the detective department. You cannot just pretend, I'm very smart, I'm going to do it on my own. It doesn't work that way. Similarly, in spiritual life, in order to progress, first you have to be admitted. That's admission process. That's the initiation process, the admission process. And then for the next 4, 5, 6 years, then you have to listen to the professor. Submissive oral reception. Initiation is the beginning of studying Vedic knowledge under the Acharya, which is what Srila Prabhupada did. In the Nectar of Instruction, Srila Prabhupada describes initiation as Divyam Jnanam Yato Dadyat Kuryat Papasya Sanshayam Tatmad Dikshiti Saprokta Deshikes Tatvakovidai. That great learned personalities, Tatvakovid, have concluded that the Divyam Jnanam, the transmission of transcendental knowledge, this is what clears the sin. It is not like an electrical charge process. It is a process of hearing submissively from the Acharya, submitting to the Acharya, inquiring from the Acharya, and receiving transcendental knowledge from the Acharya. That is initiation. and the throwing the bananas into the fire, the formal initiation ceremony, the fire sacrifice, the chanting on the bead, the giving of the name, these are all ceremonials. These are formalities which may be adjusted from time to time by the Acharya. So for those people who say, well, no, nobody ever did that before, well, it was done between 1972 and 77 by Prabhupada. Prabhupada is authorized to make adjustments to the practice and preaching of Krishna consciousness. Interestingly, in 2009, there was a big active debate on the internet with several members of the society and various other devotees. And one devotee in Los Angeles named Sri Mukunda brought up a very nice point, which nobody really had a reply. He says, for all of you Prabhupada disciples who met Prabhupada, who went on morning walks with Prabhupada, who received letters with Prabhupada, who had conversations with Prabhupada in his room, who had all this personal association with Prabhupada, and who are objecting to Prabhupada's arrangement of a representative system by which he would give initiation, and persons would become his initiated disciple via representatives. How is it that this system, which was actively going on while Prabhupada was present, none of you ever went to Prabhupada and asked him, is this according to Shastra, Prabhupada? Is this according to a tradition, Prabhupada? I would be very curious to see the fun, what would happen if somebody would have the audacity or the temerity of challenging Prabhupada like that. Because Prabhupada is authorized by Krishna to do this. It's interesting that when you start asking people, well, which tradition are you talking about? Some Neo-Mat tradition? Some caste Brahmin tradition? Some Sahajya tradition? Some deviated group? What tradition followers are you talking about? Prabhupada did many things in his manifested presence, which were not exactly according to what the critics say, the standard tradition. But it was effective in preaching and establishing Krishna consciousness, wasn't it? He allowed men and women to be on Sankirtan together. He came over on the boat, which is forbidden according to the Vedas for sannyasis. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, his Guru Maharaj, was the first acharya to ride a car, to wear a long coat, a long British coat. He did so many things which were not, quote unquote, according to tradition. Incidentally, tomorrow, when we're observing the tradition, the traditional observance of the birthday called Jayanti of Ramanuja, when Ramanuja took sannyas, nobody gave him the sannyas. He went to Lord Varadaraja in Kanchipuram, and he came out and he had the dress of a sannyasi. Bhaktisiddhanta did the same. So this was not exactly according to tradition. So we're supposed to reject these great acharyas because they're not according to the speculative interpretation of some so-called traditionalists. So you can't pick you cannot have one philosophy coming out from one corner of your mouth and another contradiction coming out from the other corner of your mouth. That will not work. And before we can even discuss with anybody about this so-called tradition argument or whether Prabhupada could or could not do, how is it that when you read Prabhupada's books now, we've got 2 or 3 different versions? If you ever go to a debate in South India, you can't just start arguing and this point and that point. No, it doesn't work that way. The first question is going to be, what do you accept as evidence? That's going to be the first point of debate. So in our movement, we got one text, the 1972 authorized version of Bhagavad Gita, that tells us he has seen the truth. And then we have another text by the self-appointed Acharya crowd that tells us that they have seen the truth. Oh, really? We have one text in Chaitanya Charitamrita from the 1974 authorized original non-adulterated version that tells us that Jagannath Das Babaji initiated Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Then we have another text that tells us the concocted, adulterated, interpolated version, again from the self-appointed Acharya crowd, that tells us that Jagannath Das Babaji accepted Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I'm paraphrasing here. So you can't have two different texts, fundamental texts, and start a reasonable debate. That is nonsense. That is complete nonsense. We have oftentimes discussed how in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, I'm going to read this again because this is extremely important. This is in chapter 1 of Adi Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Before Prabhupada starts translating the verse, text number 1, he discusses the direct disciple of Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was Srila Narottam Das Thakur, who accepted Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti as his servitor. So the first question here, they were never on the planet at the same time. How did he accept him as his servitor? Of course, the self-appointed Acharya crowd cannot explain this. Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti accepted Srila Jagannath Das Babaji. Again, the relationship between these two was strictly a shiksha relationship. There's no evidence they ever physically met. Who initiated Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who in turn initiated Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, who initiated, incidentally, who factually was initiated by a different Babaji. So this discriminative succession given by Srila Prabhupada, he says, who in turn initiated Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, the spiritual master of Om Vishnupad, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, the divine master of a humble self. When we look carefully at all the relationship of these names that are given, Srila Prabhupada is giving many names here who were not direct initiated disciple of one another, some of whom never met one another. How did he explain that? They don't explain it because they don't comprehend that the disciplic succession and initiation is primarily the transmission of transcendental knowledge. Non-interpolated, non-adulterated transcendental knowledge. It is not simply throwing bananas into the fire. Prabhupada continues, the subject matter of this book is not a mental concoction, but a factual spiritual experience that one can realize only by accepting the line of disciplic succession described above. Any deviation from that line will bewilder the reader's understanding of the mystery of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now, for the sake of respecting other contributors to this program, we will not go today into too much details about what happens when one deviates from the transcendental instruction of the Acharya given here. We have had many people say, oh, Prabhupada made mistakes. Prabhupada didn't follow the tradition. Prabhupada didn't do this. Prabhupada didn't conform to the woke crowd. One such follower even said that Prabhupada was wrong. He exceeded his authority, all kinds of nonsensical, offensive blasphemies against Srila Prabhupada. Why? This is explained here. Because deviation from that line will bewilder the reader's understanding. This is very important. One has to follow by accepting the line of disciplic succession described above, to be continued and to whom it may concern. Thank you very much for your patience. Hare Krishna.
Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much, Yashodanandana Prabhu. And it is critical for each devotee to understand the principle of Guru Tattva. This Prabhupada goes over continuously in his purports and his lectures, because this is the way to reach Krishna. It is not possible to become Krishna conscious without service. And it is only through the service of the spiritual master who is serving Krishna that one can receive the mercy of Krishna. I dwelling within the heart destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge, Krishna says. So in this way, one can become enlightened through the process of Guru Tattva. So this is why it's stressed. And of course, Guru Tattva, the principle of training under the association and service of the pure devotee, is the critical aspect. So that's why we encourage everyone, and Prabhupada has encouraged all of us to constantly read the literatures, the scriptures that he has translated for us. So we have Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and Bhagavad Gita and Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar of Devotion, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, all these different wonderful books, which are an opportunity to hear. Because association with the pure devotee means to associate with the sound vibration that he emanates. And this is also called Vani incarnation, so it takes discipline. Someone would say, oh, I'm a devotee, I wear robes, or I put on a tilak, and I carry the trappings of a devotee. But real devotion means to hear, Shravanam Kirtanam. There are 9 processes of devotional service, but fundamentally the beginning is hearing. So when one hears carefully from the bona fide spiritual master, I was listening to a lecture this morning, Yashoda Prabhu, Nandana Prabhu, and it's extraordinary how deep Prabhupada's revelations are on the subject matter of Krishna consciousness. It's extraordinary. So someone could say, you were mentioning about guru. There's so many imposter gurus, fake gurus, for whatever reason. Prabhupada talks about there's thousands of them in Bengal. But to meet a pure devotee, spiritual master, which was the case of Srila Prabhupada, and we are certainly blessed by this opportunity, no question. And it's gone on for many, many years, this opportunity. You get insight that it's not possible in any other way from any other person ever existed in the modern times. The depth of his understanding is extraordinary. Prabhupada was talking about living entities that eat. He said most people, like living entities, eat by the hands, like especially humans. He asked this question, Yashodanandana, what entities eat by their feet? What entities? Never heard such a thing in my life. How to understand that? And then Prabhupada goes, trees eat by their feet. Extraordinary. Insights into the secrets of the universe, subject matters that we never considered before meeting Srila Prabhupada. And when you hear him lecture and speak on Krishna consciousness, like he talks about the universe, the position of the living entities on other planets. How many people have ever heard someone speak with such authority on these subject matters? Do you hear any of these new gurus talk about that? No. Do they have any depth of understanding of these subject matters? No. These people are posing as bona fide acharyas. But this is a science that is only revealed through the association of a pure devotee. If you read the books, everyone, if you chant your rounds, if you follow the process, then Krishna will reveal himself through the service that you render to the pure devotee. Yes, you have to serve. We are all engaged in so many services. Yes. Prabhupada explained that generally people serve the family. Oh, that's so true, isn't it? The family, or the extensions of the family, especially after men and women join together in marriage, they have children. Then the focus of the marriage shifts from each other. Generally, it's focused on the children, especially the mother. The mother focuses on the children. You hear about all these great, successful people in sports and entertainment. And what's the first thing they said? Oh, I want to thank my mother. That's what they do. Why? Because the mother focuses on the service of the children. Now, it's interesting to note that if Prabhupada says, if a person is married and does not have children, how do they render service? Well, generally, they get a dog or a cat. Nowadays, on Facebook, you see this adoration of the dog. Very interesting how people refocus on the service of the dog. So in their next life, you focus on the dog at the time of death. You become a dog in your next life. Whatever you think about throughout your life, you'll think about at the end of life. And in this way, you prepare yourself for your next birth. Serve a dog. I've told this story about the morning walk in Toronto on the Don Valley Parkway with Srila Prabhupada, where we were walking along under the big bridge there, Yashoda, that they have going over Bloor Street. I still remember being by those pillars. Prabhupada saw the sign, stoop and scoop. And he took his cane, he pointed up. Here's the difference between us and them. And everybody laughed. They worship DOG and we worship God. And people will spend, I saw this fellow on Facebook Reels. Oh, I love my dog so much, I'll refinance my house and spend all my money on taking care of my dog. I'll refinance my property to make sure my dog doesn't die. Okay, we respect that devotion. But what is the value of that refinancing and that donation to service of the dog at the time of death? It's zero. Zero. Everything ends up zero in this life unless you put Krishna at the front. That is the most important thing. And that is the illusion, unfortunately, we are in, that our priorities are misdirected into so many frivolous trivia. That is the condition of the materialistic man and woman. They spend their time, their money, and all of their efforts in meaningless pursuits of material sense gratification. This is our disease. We're in Maya. And until we get out of this Maya and take up the service of Krishna under the direction of the spiritual master, we will perpetuate our repeated birth and deaths for millions of years in this material world. Yet people think, oh, it's no big deal. we have a golden opportunity to make advancement. I have a friend he was actually one of my partners in business when I was in the real estate industry, and he's worth over $100 million now, even more, maybe 200 million potential money. And he goes, well, if I don't make it in this lifetime, I'll do it in my next lifetime. Oh, yeah. Just spin the wheel, roll the dice, take a chance. Hopefully you'll take birth in the human form. That's no guarantee either. There's this fellow who's a very big businessman in America. His name is David Portney. He does the pizza reviews online, cheese pizza. And he went and saved a dog called Peaches. So he has this dog and he puts videos up. He lives with the dog in his mansion. He treats the dog like a human being, better than. And he even says, I love my dog better than I love people. What's the value of his life? Serving a dog instead of God, instead of Krishna. He spends all his money. He'll spend no lack of money on the service of his dog. But this is not welfare work. The highest welfare work, Prabhus, is the welfare work of the Krishna consciousness movement. And it doesn't mean opening hospitals and doing food programs in schools like they're doing in Canada here. No, the highest welfare work is to spread Krishna consciousness with the transcendental knowledge from the pure devotee to enable other people that you know the chance to get out of the cycle of birth and death. This is our work. It's not whimsical. It's not frivolous. Some people present themselves as so-called gurus, and they write wills that give an impression that they have renounced everything. But the fact is they haven't. And they haven't renounced their own personal goal to be recognized as a great devotee in the line of the 6 Goswamis. Even now, in Vrindavan, they're going ahead and building, and in Mayapur, bigger samadhi tombs for our godbrothers who have deceased than Rupa Goswami and the 6 Goswamis. And for some of us, we can see, both living and in death, they've staged this plan for self-aggrandizement, so they won't be forgotten even in death. This is very nefarious. Now, some people would say, how can you say that? Because we can see it. If you can't see it, it's because you don't know the facts. You do not know the facts. And why do we get upset? Because we see our spiritual master being minimized in front of everyone and nobody speaks up. Recently, I posted a picture of someone with a bigger Vyasasan than Srila Prabhupada while he was still living. Did anybody speak up? No. Why? Because they don't understand what this really means. That's why we are the Prabhupada Disciples Association, and we are fixed on one thing, that Prabhupada is Diksha and Siksha Guru for us for eternity. Think about it. Oh, these new gurus, they're saying, even in their wills, oh, all of you carry on and become guru. And Prabhupada will remain our Siksha Guru forever. Such confusion, such delusion, such illusion. And yet people are criticizing us. Why are you saying anything? Because it's offensive to our spiritual master, who is the pure devotee of Krishna. This is the greatest offense, hatimata, to minimize the orders of the spiritual master and his position, not build a bigger Vyasasan even while you're still alive, and sit beside Prabhupada in a bigger Vyasasan than him, and no one says anything. This is a mistake. The service of the spiritual master and the realization of Krishna are possible with a correct understanding of Guru Tattva. And this is the highest welfare work that you can provide for the human society. Yashodanandana Prabhu, please.
Well, you're bringing up some very important point here. We do know that Srila Prabhupada many times has given advice that devotees should not disrespect the spiritual master at any time. And this is a very important point. Srila Prabhupada many times explains that in order to understand the activities of a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, that we have to be very cautious. For example, in the Nectar of Instruction, verse number 6 in the purport, Nectar of Instruction, verse number 6 in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, one is forbidden to observe the activities of a pure Vaishnava from a material point of view. For the neophyte especially, considering a pure devotee from a material point of view is very injurious. One should therefore avoid observing a pure devotee externally, but should try to see the internal features and understand how he is engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. In this way, one can avoid seeing the pure devotee from a material point of view, and thus one can gradually become a purified devotee himself. Further, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya Lila, chapter 4, text 173, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya Lila, chapter 4, text 173, Srila Prabhupada says, therefore, one who cannot distinguish between devotion and ordinary karma may mistakenly consider the body of a pure devotee material. One who knows does not commit such a mistake. Non-devotees who consider devotional activities and ordinary material activities to be on the same level are offenders to the chanting of the transcendental holy name of the Lord. A pure devotee knows that a devotee's body, being always transcendental, is always suitable for rendering service to the Lord. Now, these instructions by Srila Prabhupada are very, very important, because many times we see devotees trying to analyze Prabhupada's activities, some of Prabhupada's statement, and due to material conditioning, for various reasons, they make the mistake of equating Srila Prabhupada with an ordinary man. Somewhat saintly, but they think, oh, he was just being influenced by his upbringing in Calcutta. He was just a part of this colonial education with the British system. All kinds of nonsensical ideas, which are not acceptable to the true followers of Srila Prabhupada. A devotee should never think that the spiritual master is influenced by the modes of nature. Prabhupada many times used to quote that verse. Arche Vishnu Shiladihi. If one thinks that the worship of the deity of Vishnu is simply an ordinary stone, and Gurushu Naramati, if one thinks that the bona fide acharya, bona fide spiritual master, the empowered spiritual master, not the self-appointed, voted-in political spiritual master, that the empowered spiritual master is an ordinary man, Yasyave Narakisa, you're a candidate for the lower regions. One should take note of this from the Padma Purana. Hare.
Thank you, Hari Bol. Wow. I love when you quote all these verses too, Prabhu. And I wanted to thank Dharma Bhavana and his group from Dallas, Texas, for I had a pleasant phone call with him the other day, and he did mention that there were a group of people that had donated to the reprinting of Prabhupada's original Delhi Bhagavatams, which is one of the greatest services that devotees can participate in this current time. I wanted to ask him his point of view today on today's verses and discussions from Dallas, Texas. Dharma Bhavana.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, thank you for the wonderful class today. My thoughts are that it's like one devotee was at our home not too long back. One devotee will say, "Oh, the guru issue is the most important." Somebody else will bring out that, "Oh, the book changes are the most important." And somebody else may say, "Oh, this is all too disturbing to deal with, all these problems." But it seems like Lord Chaitanya is inspiring us to understand through our repetitious discussions, which are so important, what wonderful service it is before us, an opportunity to help in restarting the mission. Instead of being discouraged, it seems to me a great opportunity. And it is easy to be discouraged because it's so difficult in so many ways. But at the same time, we have a great opportunity to help in this. And so if we understand the historical details and the philosophical points, even if we hear it over and over again, it really helps us to understand it deeply so that we are put some challenge before us, we can actually answer to somebody else. It can help us in our conviction to push ahead with our activities. So thank you very much, Haribol.
Yes, that's very, very well spoken. We always have to recharge our batteries. And this is possible through association with other devotees who have a clear vision of what Prabhupada was teaching us in terms of how to perform pure devotional service, because through pure devotional service, you will see Krishna. You cannot get Krishna consciousness without devotional service. The more you serve, the more advancement you'll make. Krishna Katha in
Hare Krishna.
San Diego area in the mountains there. How are you, young man?
Hare Krishna. Vishwakarma, Yashoda, as always, an excellent dovetailed class from the verses in Bhagavad Gita that are explaining this universal form. It's a perfect relationship of Krishna and Arjuna and our sampradaya. And then to jump forward to Dharma Bhavana's comment is spot on, perfect. This is exactly what he said. It's a restart. If you think about all of the difficulties and roadblocks and impediments that our spiritual master endured in establishing this movement for his guru, Bhakti Siddhanta, and our sampradaya, Lord Chaitanya, we are now with the same opportunity. Dharma Bhavana mentions this is our opportunity. Service is going to happen to please the spiritual master, to the sincere practitioner of Prabhupada's disciplinary process. And when you think about what Dharma Bhavana said, yes, we are asking everyone to do exactly what Prabhupada did. He brought these books to share with the jiva souls that would inquire and listen. Yes, it was a time where everyone was fashionable about gurus, but Prabhupada saw that there was a select number in the beginning that said, this guru is different. There's something about him that's not like these other Maharajas and these bogey yogis that would produce some mystic potency and enamor everyone, obviously for the pad disease. So we're seeing that back then, devotees in the early days would criticize this bogey yogi because we're initiated by the real bona fide. the one that brings purification to our hearts, and bhakti yoga. And so now, in that same mood, are we criticizing? Yes, Prabhupada taught us to criticize, to speak the truth, to stand up, and not just fall back and let it all happen, but to have faith and to be strong and to trust in the process. Trust Krishna's words in the Bhagavad Gita as truth, always, absolutely. So I take what Dharma Bhavana says, and this is how we share on this format. We speak in the discussion part, and we share, and he's enlivening me today to be strong in our movement, because you got to remember, Lord Chaitanya and Prabhupada and our whole Sampradaya, they have this movement. They're taking care of it. We are just merely their instruments. We are somehow or other connected because we follow the process. We practice the discipline. That's what connects us. And that's what gives us our, let's call them, ecstasies. Let's call them inspirations and realizations, enlightenments. They come to us. So I appreciate what you said, Dharma Bob, and this is exactly what we're up to right now. It's a Leela. We have to see it like that. Prabhupada is testing us. So thank you for sharing. That was awesome. And here's, again, the books that you're all donating to. We're so close. I think we're at 20,000. Thank you so much, everyone, for donating. This is a wonderful pastime that Prabhupada is very pleased with. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Kevin, we have just a few minutes left in the program. Did you have a quick question for Jashoda?
Yes, just a quick question. Is like some humble obeisances, all devotees. Hare Krishna, Jai Prabhupada. Yeah, I just wanted to ask Yashodananda Prabhu, could you repeat the verse and chapter of Antya Lila you were mentioning? One who thinks material activity and devotional service on the same platform that offender to the holy names. Chapter and verse.
Okay, there is one quote from Antya Lila, chapter 4, text 173. Basically, this describes. There's another quote in Madhya Lila, chapter 18, text 99. This one says, one must see things as they are through the mercy of a spiritual master. Otherwise, if one tries to see Krishna directly, he may mistake an ordinary man for Krishna and Krishna for an ordinary man. Everyone has to see Krishna according to the verdict of the Vedic literatures presented by the self-realized spiritual master. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 1899. And the previous one, the previous quotation, was from Antya Lila, chapter 4, text 173. I hope that helps. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for Hare Krishna.
Vishwa, Hare Krishna.
Haribol. So we're moving to the end of the program, and I wanted to thank everyone for participating in everything that we're doing. We have multiple programs of preaching that we're implementing as we progress forward. Time and tide wait for no man. So we want to take advantage of our vitality while we still have it to do as much service as possible. And so this week, please share the link to your friends and your network. I know here in Canada, we've raised over $4,000 in our small group. And there are people out in California that are doing really well, and all over the world are giving their money in the service, their Lakshmi in the service of Krishna, and the reprinting of these books. So it's a great opportunity to take advantage of it while you can. And in this way, everyone will be blessed with the mercy of Srila Prabhupada in the form of his transcendental literatures that we're going to print and distribute. So there's two stages to this. One is the printing of the books and then the distribution of them to quality people who will read them and take advantage of this process and become part of this transcendental army that we're forming. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Let's move forward with the chanting. Is it possible, Rupesh, to put up the kirtan and then the obeisances and then the end of the show? Rupesh, are you there? Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. Thank you very much, Dr. Rupesh, for conducting the program. And we'll look all of you to come tomorrow morning for Srimad Bhagavatam, another interesting reading and discussion. Tomorrow is the appearance day of Jayanti of Sripad Ramanujacharya. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnava Vangsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathannitam Tang Sajivam Sadaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya.
Jai. Haribo. Hare Krishna.